Our feature this morning focuses on a non-fiction book that has been described as a love story for our troubled times. In this offering, the author writes vividly and with humor about how he and Ntombi Lukhele fell in love in 1983 when they were both in exile. The book is titled The John and Ntombi Story, a memoir of their love and times. And to help us unpack it, here is its author, John Carneson, joining us now via Zoom. John, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity, Simpiva.
Now, tell us more about this book and what propelled you to publish your story into this memoir.
Well, essentially, when one retires, you discover your wife and your life. You have time for reflection, and COVID added even more opportunity for reflection. So I initially just wanted to celebrate the fact that I married a very remarkable woman and wanted to share with the world. And this deepened to exploring together in a negotiated way our relationship over the since 1983. It involves love and many other things which are explored in the book.
Gosh, since 1983, and you're all bound by love. Love is such a beautiful thing, isn't it? And when you initially started to pen this book, what essence of the story did you want to share through it?
Essentially, our relationship as two human beings, which we met at the ANC school in South Africa, which was a very special place, like a hothouse, a bit of a vision of what people thought South Africa should be like. And then we got to know each other in exile, and then when we came back to the country. And I irritate Ntombi very highly, and I'm a totally different character to her. So it became an interesting journey to find out how this love we have deepens despite every kind of problem imaginable, plus the pressure of events in the world, events in South Africa and in our families.
Now take us back to how you and Ntombi Lukhele met.
Well, I was basically sitting in a house. We shared houses together, the teachers and so on. And someone introduced me to this young woman who was going to establish modern kitchens. She'd been trained in Zambia and elsewhere. And something just clicked, and I compare it in the book to a grain of sand that enters an oyster and begins to irritate it. So they grow a pearl around it to protect themselves. So it's a process. But that click happened, and then Ntombi took charge, but without letting me know she took charge. And this relationship has continued like that since that time. And it's humorous and serious, and we keep the political noise to a minimum so people can focus on the relationship. But the realities are always there.
Yeah. And your love has been described as one that has endured to this day, despite state capture, COVID-19, of course, and conflicting personalities and priorities.
Absolutely. I discovered early on that Ntombi was very much like my grandmother, who was a Russian peasant in origin. And they both are very much centered in the family and building houses, promoting the interests of their family and clans. And there's a chapter called I Married My Grandmother, and I found it astonishing. But at the roots, they are centered on the family and building on whatever plot of land or opportunities they have, whereas I'm more centered in my books and the bigger picture. And Ntombi, I told her people think I'm insulting her by calling her peasant. She said, that's what I am. Don't you dare dilute that concept. That's me. So it's very much getting to know each other. And by the way, we're not unique in that. Every retired couple who've had busy lives have to go through some kind of process of getting to know one another.
Well, apart from this being a love story, but one can't help but marvel at the humor, that is, reflected throughout this love story. Now, speak to us about both your backgrounds and the family histories as they are revealed as this story unfolds.
Well, essentially, the humor, I must say, is both a survival mechanism for me, and it's a good weapon to use against Ntombi. She finds it irritating. But our background is from two struggle families, one from deep rural KwaZulu-Natal near Mbiti Ladysmith, and the other from Cape Town with also roots in Joburg. My parents were active and indeed jailed quite frequently. We ended up in exile, and Ntombi ended up in exile. We both went to boarding schools. She went to a mission school in Swaziland, where I got a scholarship to a private school in England. And it's those parallels which allow us to understand each other. But my knowledge of Zulu culture and her background was severely limited by being stuck in exile, and then when we came back, being stuck in white suburbs. When we retired, Ntombi said, now is my time. Yeah. I'm going to take to the village where I grew up. And we want the book to continue after publication through a website, through sharing our experiences there and our lives with the readers, not just in South Africa.
Right, right. And this love story, gave birth to two children with Ntombi. Let's talk about them and how they feature in this beautiful story.
Well, it's interesting. A memoir is a slice of time, so I can't really change it much. It's how I saw things, especially during COVID when our daughter lived with us and we didn't have much contact with our son, but he appears in the story. And there's 86 color photographs in the book. Okay. On the online version, you can still see them at the end. And the last photograph is my son and his partner and a dog, their dog, and Ntombi, and they're all smiling. And she has an extremely close relationship with our children, and they have a very close relationship with Gogo. Ntombi's mother came to live with us in 1994. 1994 when we returned from exile, and has been with us ever since. And she's the center around which our sort of storms revolve, the kind of quiet center in our lives, and we value her highly. So she's a character in the book. The house where we finally settled is a character in the book. And the dog definitely is a character. I have the teeth marks on my hands and legs. It worships Ntombi and keeps an eye on me. Yeah. And visits us now and again. So the readers are inducted into all these things over the chapters, and each of these characters is revealed as the book goes back and forward a little bit. But it's basically three sections: before we met, after we met, our life in exile, our life since we came back.
All right, John Carneson, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I understand that this year you'll be celebrating 40 years of being together. How cool is that?
It's cool and a little bit frightening, but I can tell you that Ntombi has extreme health issues with the spine and so on, going for a major operation. But all of that is just a way that we have of getting deeper and deeper into our love.
All right. All the best, John. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's John Carneson joining us via Zoom there for a conversation about his book titled The John and Ntombi Story.